I failed in my first assignment. Man, it was not funny. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Excellence Madoka. I'm a life coach and an ex-campus cultist in Nigeria. I started with my story on how I got initiated into cult and activities. Please, if you have not watched any of my stories from the beginning, my journey from how I got in and how I was initiated, please subscribe to this video and you'll get to watch my story from the beginning so that you'll be able to catch up with my story. After my initiation, because after every initiation, they will begin to give us what they call orientation. They will give you orientation on how to comport yourself in the very cult that we belong to. They will tell us the rules, the do's, and the don'ts. Now, one of the don'ts that they give to us is you are not to be found hanging out with any old member of the cult, so that other cult people will not identify you as a member. Because at this first stage, you were majorly used as informants, or we were majorly used for the intelligence. Now, when we are getting information, you will not know which cult. You will not even know that we have been blended, we have been initiated into any cult. So we are just neutral. So nobody will be able to suspect, nobody will be able to know which cult you belong to. So they will not be able to, tag you to any particular cult. So, in that orientation is don't hang out with the old members. Don't be found with them. Even if they are your roommate, you see them on the way, just pretend as if you don't know them. So now, after the initiation, there is something in the cult that I belong to. There is something they call duty is duty. Duty is duty is whatever assignment they give to you, you must carry it to the letter. Even when they ask you to kill your father, ask you to kill your brother, your mother, or any of your relation, duty is duty. As long as you have been assigned, you must carry out that. No complaint. It's like, in the military where they say obey before, or yes, obey before complain. So order is order. In some cases they say order is order, but in the cult that I belong, they say duty is duty. Now, the first assignment that they gave to me, number one, after my initiation, it was when it dawned on me that I've entered into something that I didn't know. I'll be talking about some of the reasons why a lot of young people join cults, and one of them is ignorance. I thought that getting into cult was just the cult group. It's a fraternity where you have a lot of fun, where you can when you can go to you go to parties uninvited, you go to shows uninvited, you hang out with the big boys on campus, you dress very fine, you carry any girl, people respect you. These were the orientation we had. But you see, my first assignment, that was when I got to know that I was in for something, that I didn't really bargain. Now, the first assignment they gave to us, was to trail a young man that they knew was coming into school for the sisters' matriculation. I think he was an old student. He graduated from that school, and they knew that he was going to come to the cult group. They say, when you price, you will pay. That is to say, the law of karma, whatever goes round comes round. So whatever you do, and you think that nobody remembers you. So I think at that moment, sorry to use this word, they say they will treat your fuck up. The young man, I think when he was in school, he did a lot, and they have been planning. So when they got a hint that he will be coming into school for his sister's matriculation. So those of us that were, initiated newly, 3 of us were given assignments to train him. And, they gave us all his details, even his sister's room number. We knew his sister. So the day he came, I think 2 days before the matriculation, normally he will come, to flange with his fellow courtmen and everything. They will have party, matriculation party and all whatnot. So from the day he came into the school, information was given to us. Every detail about them was given to us. So we began to train him. So we followed him all through. Now, all this while, I don't go to class because I must be with him. I must know all his activity 24/7. I must follow him everywhere he goes. And so we began to train him. So at every stage, we'll send report. At every stage, we'll send report. So we began to train him. And all this while, for like 2 days, we were following him up. Now, the day that was to be the day he will be attacked, after we have trained him, after we have given, we have given all the information that will help, I was now assigned that I will be the one that will carry out the heat. That I will be the one that will machete him, that, whatever weapon that they give to me, that I was going to, first, of course, they know that I'm a newly initiated, so they could not trust me with gun because, so all they said was I was going to machete him. I was going to give him several machete cords that will make sure that he gets down. The moment he gets down, they will take up. You understand me? So when they told me that, I felt shivers all over me. This was not what I bargained for. What? Take a man's life? Honestly speaking, it wasn't what I bargained for. It wasn't what I thought that it would be. To cause blood to come out from a man. So I was shaky. I just knew. I just thought like Jesus Christ said, if this cup can pass me by. I just didn't know. But remember, duty is duty. Once you have been assigned, you must carry out the duty. So I was throughout that day, I was not myself. And I think one of the older men, he recognized, or he noticed that I was shaky. So he called me, he advised me, he tried to psych me that, see, no, nothing. This one, when you do this one will not, it will harden you, it will strengthen you. You need to do this. After all, you are not going to kill him. Just give him few machete cuts and all those things. But I knew that such would lead to his death. And I was afraid. But I had to. So everything was well mapped out. Everything was well planned. And, where they will be gathering, somebody will, release a shot in the air. So once there's pandemonium, we step in and we match it. The target will always. Now that time came. Me still shaky. And other people hanging around me, but because nobody knew. Nobody, they didn't know I was a cultist. In fact, you will hardly know that, I was a cultist those days because you see me, a gentle young man. I dress very fine. I'm a very jovial person. I interact with everybody, but you will hardly know that I'm a cultist, except, as I was, growing, in the cult that I belong to, you will now see me hanging out with these people. That's when you get to know. But any other thing you will not know. So, I was standing, close by, unassuming. Nobody knew what, I was about to do. My machete, what I wore, the machete, I just held the machete. And all of a sudden, the signal came. As the signal came, they shot in the air and people began to run. Honestly speaking, my eyes was on the target. But immediately as the gunshot went off, I did not see this young man again. How he disappeared. How I just could not, I was confused. I was confused. I don't know, honestly speaking. Well, I can't really explain what happened, but I knew my eyes was on him. I knew that, I was focused on the target, even though I was shaky, even though I was afraid. But, I had this mentality that I must carry out this duty. This is my first duty. My first impression, I must create a first impression and a lasting impression. I've, psyched up myself. But this guy, in the midst of the pandemonium, this guy disappeared. I just could not, I just didn't know. And when everybody, was running, security people started coming in, that was how we moved out of that place. And what happened? My people, when I got back, when I was summoned, and they asked me what happened. I could not just explain what happened. Even some of my guys that were with me, they themselves could not even explain. So I don't want to tag it to anything. I don't want to just tag it. I really don't want to tag it, but somehow some people will understand, but I don't want to tag it to anything. But I just knew that young man disappeared. I didn't see him. And I was trying to explain. I was trying to, give them, but that day, the drilling that I received was worse than the drilling I had when I was initiated. The drilling that I received, they came down on me. They asked me to lie down, and they came down on me. I thank God that I was not, I was not killed, because it was, still permit me to use this word, it was a big fuck up, according to their language. And throughout that day, throughout that week, I couldn't come out because all my back, all my bum was swollen. I had scars all over me. So, the initiation, after the initiation, I had to, go to take my bath very early so that people will not discover the scars. What is this? What is this? As a cultist, you don't have your life. You don't have a life. Your personality is taken. All you do is you please the people around you and not yourself. But you see, I still thank God that did not happen. I still thank God that I did not carry out, because I don't know, with the way, I was, afraid, the way I was shaking, I probably would have even killed that young man. I'm telling you the truth. I would have killed that young man. But I thank God that it happened the way that it happened. Do you know that sometimes, when I, sit back to look at some of the activities that happened to me while I was in court, I always see, a divine hand over my life. Yes, I always see. I knew somehow it was, after my conversion, that I began to understand that it was God that made that happen for me. And who knows too, it was probably also God that saved that young man. I don't know where he is. I hope he repented. I hope he has been converted, because that would have been the end of his life. That would have been, I just hope so. Because, later, when I now, was converted, the sister somehow became my friend, but I never told her what happened. The sister became my friend. The sister, was a very good Christian, on campus. So I want to be sure that young man escaped because God loved him. I want to be sure that young man, that it was God that helped me escape. And so several other assignments that were given to me, and I began to take my time, to carry out some of those assignments. One other assignment, though this one was not it was not about killing. One other assignment was one of our top men, somebody was razzling his girlfriend, so one of, I think when we got to know, when we got to know that someone was, and the guy that was razzling his girlfriend was a Jew man. Who is a Jew man? A Jew man is a non-cultist. So we call them Jew men. When you don't belong to any cult, it's a nickname that we give to those that are not in cults. So we call them Jew man. So, a Jew man was razzling this, so they gave us our assignment to go deal with him. It was just a minor thing. So that evening, we went to his room. 3 of us too. I had these 3 people that were, so 3 of us, we walked really like tag team partners. So what we did was, as we went into the room, one went to the control switched off the entire light in the hostel, and everywhere was dark. So it means as we knocked, as he opened the door, the light went off. Then we took him and gave him the mending of his life and warned him to stay away from that girl. And we left. That was my other assignment, and several other, assignments that I'm not really proud of. But I never spilled a blood. But let me make one thing clear to everyone here. You will say, I didn't kill anybody, I didn't spill blood, but remember the oath that you took, that covenant that you took, binds you with every member of the confraternity. That anything that they do within that confraternity, the consequence goes round. The consequence goes round. So whether you killed or you did not kill, as long as there is, there is an oath that is binding you, there is a covenant through the blood, like I explained in my last video, you understand me? The same consequence. The man that did that act and you that is just a member, it is the same consequence. It is the same. These are spiritual things. These are things that a lot of people, these are the things that, people, they do out of ignorance. And Satan is using this and taking advantage of our ignorance, taking advantage of the ignorance of the youth, and is killing them, getting them entangled. Not just getting them entangled, also their posterity. Because whatever you do, your posterity will pay for it. Whatever you do, your children will pay for it. All these things, they are spiritual things. As long as you have this covenant with the confraternity, you have this covenant with the deity that they serve. In one of my videos, I'm going to mention some of the deities. I will maybe towards when I'm trying to round off, I'm going to mention the name. Every cult group have a deity that they serve. This thing is not just fun. This thing is not, it's not, it's not, let's go to party, let's go to, it is not fun. It is spiritual. My first assignment was bloody on me. But I thank God that it did not happen. In my next video, I'll be exposing more, a deeper things that you need to hear. Please, I need you to sit back. I need you to follow up. Remember, if you have not watched the beginning, try and subscribe to this video. Once you subscribe to this channel, you'll be able to see other of my stories so that you'll be able to follow up. Now, please remember to subscribe, like this video, and comment. We need to hear from you. I need to hear from you. I know a lot of people are passing through, what I went through. So many people, you want to open up. So many of you, please, I need to hear from you. After this, we're having a program where, where we're going to get other people that have gone through what I went through, and they will get to share their story for you to also hear. Once again, remember, subscribe, like, comment, and always know that you need to stand out and don't blend.